Hey guys, it's Cam from Craft and Tailored, and in this week's episode of What Is On My Wrist, we're talking about our very rare white gold Audemars Piguet Royal Oak. The reference is 14813 BC, and this specific example has a Black Aventurine dial, which is also gem set on the dial and the bezel. This watch is incredible. I'm very excited to share it with you. Let's get into the details. The Audemars Piguet Royal Oak, designed in 1972 by arguably one of the most influential and popular watch designers of all time, Gerald Genta. In my video with Christian from Theo and Harris, we actually talked a little bit about the Royal Oak and how that is kind of the cornerstone of AP. Without the Royal Oak and without Genta's design in 72, I don't even know if AP would exist today. I mean, you have so many different variations of the Royal Oak. You have the Royal Oak Offshore, you have the Royal Oak chronographs, you have all kinds of stuff. Very iconic and classic design, and I think that the Royal Oak and AP Royal Oaks in general are definitely something that have increased in popularity over the last 3 to 5 years. And this example is an exotic variant of that classic and iconic design, and really excited to share this with you. This watch actually came to us from one of our viewers. He saw us on our YouTube channel and sent the watch to us, and at first, I was kind of boggled by the watch. I've never seen, a Black Aventurine dial. Aventurine is actually a glass, and we'll talk a little bit about Aventurine as a glass and as a dial component and how AP is using it in their watches. But when we first saw the watch, I was kind of, on the fence with it. Looking at things like finishing and the setting of the stones on the bezel itself. I knew it was AP, but obviously there was risk in acquiring a piece like this, because if the dial is, fake or aftermarket or whatever, then, it's just, the watch is worth nothing. But, a lot of what I do as a dealer and as a specialist within the field of vintage watches is look at the minor, tiny details that most people don't look at, like key characteristics in the font or the way that a stone is set into a dial or into a bezel or something like that. So when I really started to get into the details of this watch, I knew that it was AP and factory AP, and something that was unique and very interesting. The thing that's really cool about this AP is that the case size is kind of interesting because it's like 36 or 37 millimeters. And the nice thing about Royal Oaks is that they wear very thin. So even though this is a 36 millimeter watch, the watch when it's on my wrist doesn't feel small. I like the 5402 series in steel, and we actually have sold one rare example that was a 5402 BC, which is white gold. The watch is really nice and oversized, but it wears, much like a 42 millimeter kind of watch, or even in like the, almost larger than that, even though it's not really an oversized watch, even though I think this watch kind of tends to wear oversized because it's so thin. So even though this watch is like 36 or 37 millimeters, and depending on the way that you want to slice it, it's a watch that really wears nicely on the wrist, and it doesn't feel small to me at all, because I think of the way that the lugs are formatted and the bracelet and all that kind of stuff. So this is specific 14813 BC is in white gold and is 36 or 37 millimeters, wears really nicely, and has, again, this really rare Black Aventurine dial, which is just kind of insane. It looks to me like a galaxy. If we want to talk a little bit about Aventurine as a whole, there actually is a stone named Aventurine. And the funny thing about the Aventurine story is that Aventurine was created in the 1600s. And as the story goes, a glassmaker accidentally blended tiny particles of copper into a batch of molten glass. And as the glass cooled, it resulted in a sparkly glass that was named Aventura, or in English, by chance. The stone Aventurine was actually named after the glass Aventurine, as the stone was discovered after the creation of the glass and actually resembled the look and characteristics of the glass. Aventurine kind of resembles a set of, stars across a black blanket of sky. And the interesting thing about Aventurine stone is that it comes in a few different colors. This watch in particular is the only one known with a Black Aventurine dial. According to AP, there are a couple of Aventurine dial AP automatic references. So this being exceptionally rare is the only one that I've ever seen and or found that is Black Aventurine, which is quite interesting. Again, the reference is 14813 BC, possesses a factory diamond bezel, which perfectly pairs with the factory diamond set Black Aventurine dial. According to AP, the watch was actually originally sold in Hong Kong in 1993. And again, to date, this is the only one that I've seen. We actually reached out through our very, very close and good friend, Eric Wind. If you're not following him already on Instagram, I'll provide a link in the description below, but Eric and AP actually helped us authenticate the dial of this watch. We actually had our watchmaker basically pull everything apart, look at the serial numbers on the movement, on the inside of the case back and everything like that. And they did confirm that this is a Black Aventurine dial. They apparently made one in a blue Aventurine as well. And you'll commonly see the reference with other gemset stone dials. Matter of fact, Amsterdam Vintage Watches just had one with a beautiful blue lapis dial. And I've seen one that also possesses a tiger eye. One key characteristic to note is that on the dial itself, around the date window on stone dials with a lot of the different brands, including Rolex, but in specific with AP, you'll see what they call a frame or a plaque around the date window. So that was something that I noticed instantly when looking at this watch that kind of drew me to the fact that the dial was special and rare. And at first I didn't even know that it was Aventurine. I thought it was some kind of interesting stone. In this reference range, there's 12 different dials that AP created. Mother of pearl, again, tiger eye, as well as a lapis dial, with the Aventurines being, based on our research, the most rare. So this is essentially almost a piece unique. I would have ventured to say that they've made only a couple of them, this being the only one that's ever surfaced with the Black Aventurine dial, making this just exceptionally rare. What's also kind of interesting, and I know I say interesting a lot because I think this truly is interesting, is that Audemars Piguet is actually using Black Aventurine in its code 1159 perpetual calendar, which is also produced in a precious metal like rose gold. And I think that was a boutique exclusive. So we see the use of Black Aventurine and also Aventurine in blue in some of their AP references even today. But I think, again, back in the 90s, this was something that was exceptionally rare, and still to this day, seeing anything AP that is Aventurine is exceptionally rare. So the watch itself is in stunning condition. I really like the weight of the white gold. It's nice. It has a presence definitely on the wrist. I actually prefer the 36 for me personally over the the like a 5402, which is larger. Not saying that I don't like the 5402. I just think it wears a little bit differently, especially in this execution of a royal oak, being that it's white gold. This has been really, really nice, and I'm really excited about this watch just because it's such a beautiful piece of art, wearable art. There's a couple of these on the open market, or I wouldn't say that the reference range as a whole, and also this type of AP in white gold is exceptionally rare. We've seen a couple of them, and I've also seen a few in quartz that have come to market. This is not quartz, it's actually automatic, which is really, really cool, which is something that I would prefer for myself. Also, I think that also makes the collectability of the reference a little bit different when you're comparing mechanical movement to quartz. The case is in amazing condition. I believe the watch was worn a little bit just based on kind of my experience, but retains all of its links, has a really nice full bracelet. And the other thing that's kind of unique and also different is that you have a different mechanism for the clasp and kind of the bracelet. Instead of having kind of like a traditional blades type enclosure that you would see on like a 5402 with like a almost like a flip-lock clasp, this has kind of this integrated bracelet, which is really, really nice. And you have like this little lever here, it's like almost like an AP tic-tac, so to speak, that you just pull, and then ultimately the bracelet, kind of opens up. So really interesting. The crown is also white gold signed AP. It's a locking crown, which is really nice, original to the watch. And the watch actually also did come with its original instruction manual and its inner box as well. So really nice lacquered, you know, AP box. The other cool thing too is that with these kind of more piece unique or I would say gemset exclusive pieces, typically the boxes are a little bit different. So obviously you have like this little pillow to hold the watch, but then you also have like this like section here for like rings or other pieces of jewelry. And you'll see that with like some of like the Rolex executive level watches as well. Like the Masterpiece series comes in like a really interesting kind of like ornate, almost like jewelry style box. So this is really cool and kind of a nice thing that it still retains this. It didn't come with its original papers, but AP did confirm the serial numbers for us and the reference and the dial and all that kind of stuff. And you know, getting an extract would be, you know, quite easy, which we plan on doing for this one as well. So definitely wanted to share this with you guys. I'm really excited about this watch. You know, again, for me, we specialize in vintage watches, Rolex, Omega, that kind of stuff. But, you know, when I saw this, something just came over me. It's literally like a piece of art. And when I look at this dial, you just get sucked into it. It's just an amazing watch. And I think the thing that's cool about some of this stuff is we talk about, you know, luxury brands and luxury brands actually maintaining and possessing a real tangible exclusivity. You know, I think that within some of the brands that's kind of lost, right? Sure, there's like a waiting list on some of these things and stuff like that, but when you're looking at, you know, that watch in the grand scheme of things, it's like if you have enough money or enough patience, you can go get a ceramic GMT. Finding something like this, I mean, this is the only one that I've ever seen ever come to surface out of maybe, let's say 2 or 3 that were probably ever created by AP. And it's the only one that I know of that is in Black Aventurine, not, you know, in the, you know, blue or in any of the other colors. So really incredible. So we're very excited to share this and have this in our, you know, extended collection. So as always, guys, thanks for tuning in. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to follow us on Instagram if you're not doing that already. And if you have questions, if we can be of any assistance, feel free to drop us a line, info@craftandtailor.com. As always, guys, thanks for tuning in. I will catch you in the next one.